Perfect. Let's go ahead and get this call started. Guys, for those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Matthew Cruz. I'm a Chairman 10, very close to Chairman 25 in the opportunity in the company. And today we're going to be talking about having a paradigm shift. And I've seen this happen in my life multiple times. I've seen this happen in multiple people's, in my organization. I've seen it happen in their life as well. And a paradigm shift is a moment in time where it seems like everything starts to change. You'll see certain people get the same results month after month, year after year, and then all of a sudden you'll see them go from here to here in a really short period of time. I'll give you guys an example of my first paradigm shift. The first paradigm shift I had was back in 2016. In the year of 2015, I joined the industry before I was in this company. And I was reading every book. I was listening to every audio. I was attending every single event. I was doing everything my mentor was telling me to do. I was putting in the work, but I was absolutely stuck. And over the course of months, I went a whole year without achieving a single rank. I went a whole year without making a single dollar. Let's be honest. If someone's been involved in IM Academy for a year, what are their chances of probably falling off? Drop it in the chat. Out of 1 to 100%, what do you think are the chances of someone sticking with it for a whole year after not making a single dollar? Drop it in the chat. 98%, low. That's true. 80%, 5, very low. Okay. Well, yeah, that was me. And guys, I love quick success stories. I love fast success stories, but let me tell you guys something. I love slow success stories. I love, the story like mine because it's a lot more relatable. Very few people have that, quick success. And for me, what happened was going into the year of 2016, I went from making practically $0 within a 60 day period from going 0 to a full-time income like that. Now, how did that happen? And here's the thing about hitting the next level. Oftentimes in this business, we think about achieving rank by rank, level by level by level, and it happens like that sometimes. But oftentimes you guys will see people's mindset shift in a certain way, and then all of a sudden you'll see them skip ranks. I've seen that happen. They have a quantum leap in their success. And that's the goal of my call for you guys tonight, is to understand what a paradigm is, how it's actually formed, where it is that your paradigm is currently at, and how to shift it so you guys can get it to the next level. Everybody drop the word shift in the chat if y'all are ready, and we'll go ahead and get this call started, family. We're gonna need a lot more interaction in the chat. We got 120 on right now. We need 120 shifts in the chat. All right, let's run it. So check this out, family. A paradigm, by the way, guys, none of this information is mine. I've been blessed to have some of the best mentors. We've been blessed to be in Life by Design, to have some of the best mentors, not just in the company, but in the entire industry of network marketing. And specifically, this really comes from Bob Proctor. And there's only a few people I study religiously, and Bob Proctor is one of those individuals. And if you don't know him, you should know him. He's the absolute GOAT in the personal development space. He's been teaching in this space for the last 60 years, and he partnered up with IM Academy because he saw what we were doing and how we were impacting people's lives. And he partnered up with the company as an educator to teach stuff like this, to teach about the mindset, because we know that that is the vast majority of our success. So a paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. And almost all of our behavior is habitual. I'm going to read it one more time. A paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior, and almost all of our behavior is habitual. Everything that you do, you wake up, you think the same thoughts, you take the same action, you get the same result, and you're secretly wishing for something to change, right? It's your paradigm. You're thinking one thing, right? But you're doing another thing. Drop a 111 in the chat if you know right now that you could be doing more, but there's almost like this invisible force. There's this, what I would call split within, that's holding you back. You know what you should be doing, but there's something literally non-physical that is holding you back. Drop a 1 in the chat. That's everybody. Now, let's look at, you take a look at the picture on the right. We're going to take a look at your guys' mind. We're going to take a look at your guys' paradigm. Bob Proctor said this. He said that this is the most valuable idea that I have ever learned. And the most valuable idea that he had ever learned is this little picture over here on the right side. You see, if I asked you today if I asked you guys to, so funny, but ask you guys, think in your mind a picture of your mind, what would you think right now? If I asked you right now to think in your mind a picture of your mind, if I told you to think of your fridge, you'd be able to think of your fridge. You'd be able to think of what color it is, how many doors are on the fridge. But if I told you to think about your mind, most people would say, oh yeah, it's the brain. Guess what? The brain is not any more than is your finger, right? And so this picture is powerful because it gives you a clear picture of basically a clear concept of the mind. Because when we don't have a clear picture of something, it's hard to understand it. But when you understand that, you look at this picture right here, right now, this is what your mind really is. So when I think of you, when I think of me, and I think of myself like this. I say, okay, here's my head. Boom, there's the conscious mind, and then there's the subconscious mind, and then there's the body. This is the most valuable idea that Bob Proctor said that he has ever learned. I'm going to come back to this picture in a minute, but I want you to start thinking of yourself like this drawing. I have my conscious mind where I can consciously think, and then I have my subconscious mind where everything really takes place, and then I have the body. Now, I'm going to go in depth with this more in a second. We're going to come back to this picture. Let's talk about the power of paradigms, how powerful a paradigm is. Number one, it controls what you do. What if I told you you didn't have total control necessarily over what it is that you do? Think of it like this. When Instagram and Facebook went down the other day, about a week ago, I was going on my phone and I was clicking on Instagram over, and I would put my phone away, then I would pull my phone out and I would click on Instagram, knowing consciously that Instagram was down, but subconsciously I was pulling it up because I'm used to going on Instagram, going on social media. If that happened to you at least once, drop a 222 in the chat. When Instagram and Facebook went down, you knew it was down, but you were checking your phone. That's how paradigm of what you do. You wake up, do certain things, and you're the paradigm. Paradigms control what you see. Now, here's where it gets crazy. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind. Guys, how can two people look at the exact same thing and see something completely differently? Answer is because their vision is influenced by their past experiences. So you could have two people looking at the exact same thing and see two completely different things. Your mindset not only controls what you do, it controls what you see. Now, your paradigm controls who you think you are, your self-image. How many of you guys have heard people say, oh, I can't do that, I'm introverted? I don't know about you guys, but me growing up, I was very naturally introverted. I had issues making relationships. I had issues talking to people. I couldn't speak in front of 130 people on this call. I couldn't even speak to one person. I couldn't even hold a conversation. And it's because I had a subconscious belief system, a paradigm. I was programmed to believe that I'm an introvert. That's just the way that I am. How many of you guys have ever talked to a family member or friend, and maybe you approach them about some type of issue and they said, oh, that's just who I am. That's just who I am, right? Rather than taking responsibility for it, they said, that's just the way that I am. It controls who you think that you are. It controls your paradigm, controls your logic. Some people think that 10 grand a month residually is illogical, not even possible, can't even fathom it. And if I asked, if I was talking to, John, me and John Gualman talk almost on a daily basis. If I'm talking to John, he would not even be able to probably survive off of 10 grand a month, right? His bare minimum to survive is probably at 100 grand a month, right? And so think of your paradigm as your thermostat. Think of it as your success thermostat, because it controls your results, right? If my thermostat right now in my house, it's set to 76 degrees. If it gets too cold, or if it gets too hot in the house, guess what? Boom, it goes right back to 76 degrees. Your results, if you go below a certain level, maybe in your bank account, whatever that number is, then you instantly feel uncomfortable, and then boom, you do whatever you got to do to get right back to where you think that you should be. And also vice versa, if you go too far, maybe you start making more money than you subconsciously believe that you should, and then boom, you get pulled right back down. Your paradigm controls your results. Now that we understand the power of paradigms, it's important to understand that school taught us valuable information, but they never taught us about paradigms. They never taught us how they're formed and how to change them. So frequently we don't do what we already know what we should be doing. Like I said, we know what we should be doing, but we're not doing it because we haven't been taught on how to shift our paradigm, how to shift our mindset. Take that word mindset and you break it down. Our mind is set. My mind is set. Your mind is set to a certain level. And in order to get to the next level, you're going to have to reset it. So let's go back to the picture we talked about. We're going to talk about the power of your subconscious mind, right? So your subconscious mind, 95% of your thoughts, feelings, actions are subconscious. Everything that you do. Think of yourself as a computer program almost. You wake up, like I said, you go on your phone, you go to the bathroom in the same way, you get ready for work, you drive to work, you go to work, you see the same people, the same places, the same things. After work, you go back home, you're tired, you watch Netflix, and then you do it again, and you do it over and over and over and over again. 95% of everything that you do is literally subconscious. You're on autopilot, basically. And then you have the 5%, your conscious mind, where it's like, okay, I know I want to go Chairman 10. I know I want to hit six figures trading. I know I want to retire my parents. I know what it is that I want. But you have the 5% of your mind literally battling the 95% of your subconscious mind. The biggest battle that you and I will ever face is the battle of our mind. People say, oh, what was your biggest, person that held you back? Answer was myself. The number one person that's holding you back, you might think that it's outside of you, but the answer is it's yourself. And so let's break these two down. The conscious mind, you have the ability to think. You have the ability to choose. You have the ability to to accept or reject. If somebody tells you something, you could accept that, or you could say, okay, that's a terrible idea, right? I don't believe that. That's conscious. Consciously, you have the ability to originate ideas. I can say to myself, okay, I want to go Chairman 25. That's an idea that I originated in my mind, right? This is your conscious mind. This is everything that you're conscious of. Now, let's talk about your subconscious mind. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. We're all aware of our conscious mind, but very few of us understand our subconscious mind, how it influences us and how to influence it, more importantly, right? So the subconscious mind cannot reject, it must accept. I'm going to say this again. Your subconscious mind cannot reject, it must accept. So whatever you're told over and over and over again, you believe it, whether it's true or not true. Now, that might sound like a crazy concept, but I'm going to say it again. Whatever you're told over and over and over and over and over through the repetition of information over and over and over and over again, you will accept that as true, even though it's not true. How many times have you met somebody who you thought was crazy and you're like, there's no way they could think like that. There's no way they actually believe that's true. Well, guess what? We all have limiting beliefs. We all have things that we believe that are true that are not necessarily true. Maybe not consciously, but definitely subconsciously, or each and every single one of us right now would be exactly where it is that we want to be. Now, the subconscious mind cannot differentiate between fantasy and reality. This is very, very, very important. The subconscious mind cannot differentiate from fantasy from reality. Let me give you an example. Example is, if I have a bad dream, if I have a scary dream, if I have a terrible dream, I could wake up and literally that dream was so real that it literally messed up the rest of my entire day. And it's almost as vivid as the real memories that I've actually had. Or another example I could give you is a scary movie. Imagine you're watching a scary movie, right? You're extremely scared, but you're in the comfort of your own home. There's no real threat. There's nothing really bad that's happening to you. But guess what? Your subconscious mind cannot differentiate between fantasy and reality. This is so important. Remember these three words: act as if, right? Professional actors, they get the script, they read the script, they practice the script until guess what? They become the script. So if you want to go Chairman 10, what does that look like? How would they act? How would they talk? How would they walk? That's what you should be doing. If you're acting and talking and walking like it, that is what you will become. So that's the power of your subconscious mind. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we need to influence to get to that next level. If this makes sense so far, drop a 777 in the chat if y'all are with me so far. All right, perfect. Okay, guys, so check this out. It's very important to know where your paradigm was formed in the first place, how your paradigm was formed in the first place. They say that from the ages, they say that your self-image is formed before you're 5 years old. Now, this is going to sound crazy to you, but when I told you that I felt like I was an introvert, right? We all have these limiting beliefs about ourselves. That means I had some type of traumatic experience with people, and I, got emotionally involved with that idea in a negative way for me to believe that before I was 5 years old. And then here I am 10 years later, 15 years later, at that point in time, having issues talking to people. So when you're born, you don't have conscious thoughts yet. Here's where it gets crazy. When you're born, your subconscious mind, the bottom part of the mind that I showed you earlier, is wide open. When you're born, your subconscious mind is wide open. And so guess what influences you? Answer is everything around you, right? Most people believe that they are a product of their environment. So their physical environment, right? The things that they're seeing physically. Number two, the people that they're surrounded by, brothers, parents, teachers. Most of our limiting beliefs aren't even our beliefs. When you start to challenge them, when I started to look at some of my limiting beliefs, why am I a perfectionist? Guys, one thing I really struggled with was perfectionism. I felt like if it wasn't perfect, then it was bad. If it wasn't perfect, then I would beat myself up. And I was like, where did that come from? Oh yeah, this is where it came from. My parents were this type of way, right? The people, we always talk about breaking generational curses and creating generational wealth, right? Well, the reality is most people aren't doing that. Most people are just passing on generational curses to their family. It's the people, right? The information like books, information like audios, information like TV, information like social media, and then their experiences, right? If they had a quote unquote negative experience that was traumatic at a very young age, well, then that can screw you up 10, 20, 30, 50 years later, the rest of your life, if you don't know how to deal with it. Most people believe that they are a product of their environment, which is partly true. But you know, it's crazy. Your environment is a product of you. At the same time, yes, those things shape you, but the reality is you get to choose your physical environment. Guess what? I have my goals all around me. Everywhere I go, I can't go anywhere without seeing my goal because I know whatever I focus on grows. Whatever I'm focusing on, I'm moving towards, right? Your physical environment. The people, I get to choose the people I surround myself with. Why do you think I moved from Seattle to Miami? Because I said, I need to put myself in a new environment. I need to surround myself with certain types of people, right? The information that you're listening to, I do personal development every single day. Now, you don't need to read a book a day, right? 5 pages a day, 10 pages a day, 15 minutes, 30 minutes of good audio every day. The information, I'm literally reprogramming my mind for success. And then experiences. What did I say earlier? Your subconscious mind cannot differentiate fantasy from reality. I remember when, this last year, John got his Lamborghini, right? And I was sitting in it, right? And I'm like experiencing it. Guess what? When your mind is expanded, your mind cannot differentiate fantasy from reality. So it doesn't matter if it's John's Lambo. If I'm sitting in the Lambo, it feels like it's mine, right? So putting yourself in those types of experiences, right? Most people have only experienced lack. Most people have only experienced limitation. Most people have only experienced negativity. And so that's how they think, that's how they act, and that's how they feel. So we need to create some new experiences. So that's a great way to start to shift, to make that shift, right? But next, another way that you could think about it is like this. There are 3 things that shape your paradigm: words, images, and emotions. Words. What are you speaking every single day? The 2 most powerful words in the universe are the words I am. That's why we talk about, guys, you know that I Am Academy is an affirmation itself, because this company understood that anything that you say after I am now starts to happen. Anything that you say after I am, you start to become. Anything that you say after I am goes into creation. Those are the 2 most powerful words in the universe. So how are you speaking to yourself? 90+% of the conversations you have every single day are not with other people, they're with yourself. Images. Andrew Carnegie, the wealthiest man in the 1800s, you know what he said? He said, any idea that's held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, will begin to clothe itself in the most convenient and physical appropriate form available. What does that mean? What that means is, if you can see yourself as a Chairman 10, and you hold that image in your mind, and you have a clear picture of it, you're going to attract the people, the places, the things that you need in order to make it happen. But you have to, A, hold it in your mind. B, you have to get emotionally involved with that idea. And that goes into my next thing I was going to talk about is emotions. Think about all the memories that you have. When you have a long-term memory, they're based off of heightened emotional experience. So the reason why you're able to remember a traumatic experience is because you remember how you feel. The reason why I was, I was trying to literally remember this person an old friend that I had back in the day. I couldn't remember their name because it was literally from high school. But all I remember is how this person made me feel. Emotions are everything. You take the word feeling. When people say, I feel bad, oh, I feel good. Feeling is the words that human beings created to describe the conscious awareness of the vibration that they're in. If people say, oh, I'm feeling good, that means you're vibrating on a high frequency. If you say, oh, I'm feeling bad, you're vibrating on a low frequency. And obviously the energy that you put out is what you're going to get back. What you put out, you're going to attract. And that wasn't supposed to rhyme on purpose, all right? Words, images, emotions. So what do we need to do? You guys have heard me say this before, unless you're new. We need to raise the bar. Belief, actions, results. Most people have no belief or low belief. So they take no action or low action. So they get no results or low results, which reinforces their limiting belief that they couldn't do it in the first place. And now they take less action and get less results and have less belief, and then so on, and then so forth. And it's this vicious cycle, and then they eventually fall out. They're letting their results dictate their belief system. Most people check their bank account, and that dictates how they feel. Most people look at themselves in the mirror and they see their physical appearance, and that dictates how they feel. They're letting their results dictate their belief system, right? But what happens if you can influence your mind? What happens if you could have a paradigm shift where you could start to believe bigger? You could start to believe faster. Write these 3 words down. Think bigger, faster. My goal tonight on this call, today on this call, is to allow you to think bigger, faster. That's it. People say, yo, Cruiser, you go back in time, tell yourself something. What's the most important thing you would tell? I would say think bigger, faster. There are 2 things that we are limited by. We're only limited by weakness of attention and poverty of imagination. Weakness of attention, we have to focus on exactly what it is that we want. Chairman 10, 6 figures trading, whatever that is. Poverty of imagination. We need to use our mind to build big pictures. We need to think bigger, faster, right? If we could, for me, guys, I remember my mentor said, hey, Cruiser, I believe that you could do this, this, and this. And you know what I did? I borrowed his belief until I could believe in myself. I believed a little bit bigger. And guess what? I took massive action. And when I took massive action, what do you think that did to my results? I got big results. And when I got results, what do you think that did to my belief? It reinforced my belief system that I could do it. And then I took more action and then more results. And it was this upward spiral towards my goals. Now, the problem is maybe consciously you believe. I don't think you would have even enrolled in the academy unless you consciously believed that you were going to be successful, because why would you sign up for something if you didn't think you were going to be successful in it? But subconsciously, there's that paradigm, right? Subconsciously, there's those limiting beliefs. And guys, that's what I'm going to help you shift today on this call. I'm going to help you shift those limiting beliefs, that negative voice in your head that's been holding you back, so that you can get to the next level, not just consciously, but subconsciously. And then your desire will be rushing to you. I'll say that again. Once you do that, your desire will be rushing to you. Did it take me a year? And then did it take me a little over a year to hit a full-time income? No, it took me a year to shift my paradigm. And then after that, 30 days in order for me to hit a full-time income. Understand? There are 2 ways to shift your paradigm. No more and no less. The next few slides are the most important slides. Number 1 is repetition of information. And number 2 is an emotional impact. These are the only 2 ways for you to shift your paradigm: repetition of information and an emotional impact. Let's talk about it. Repetition of information. Your paradigm was formed by repetition of information. When you were born, when I was born, right? My parents called me, well, y'all know me as Cruiser, but my first name is Matthew, right? My parents said, Matthew, 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 Matthew. And maybe about 1,000 times later, I started to respond to Matthew, right? Oh, the repetition of me hearing my name over and over and over and over and over again. Boom. Now anyone says Matthew, I'm I'm looking. Whether they're talking to me or not, I'm looking, right? Your paradigm was formed by repetition of information. Your paradigm will be shifted by, guess what? Repetition of information. Now, think about this. Next level. So I recommend Alan Cohen on the top. I'm rereading it right now, and it's crazy because I'm picking up stuff that I didn't see in the book the first time, right? Even though I already read it multiple different times. Listen to this quote. When you read a good book the second time, you don't see something in it that you didn't see before. You see something in yourself that wasn't there before. Because the repetition of information, you're literally becoming a different person. And so you're seeing this from a different angle, from a higher level of awareness. And now it's starting to click. Now it's starting to make sense. People say, yo, why do I got to go to I Am United? I just went to SummerSlam. Answer, you went to an event, which is fine. I've been going to events for the last 7 years. I understand it's the repetition of event after event after event after event. That's what's going to shift my mindset, not just one event. People say information changes your situation. That's only half true. It's the repetition of information that changes your situation, all right? Now read this last thing. Our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about it will change. That's what I did. That's how I was able to literally change my belief system. I reevaluated who I was. I reevaluated my experience. I reevaluated my thoughts, my belief system. Now let's talk about an emotional impact. Think of your paradigm or belief. Think of it as a table. When you have a table, you have legs that support the table. The legs that support your table are events that happen that support your belief. So if you only have one leg for that table, if you only have one reference for that belief, then that's not going to be a very strong belief. Now check this out. You can develop any belief that you want as long as you have enough legs, references to support that belief. Now pay attention to this. The more emotional that these references are, the more convicted you become. So the more emotional that these references are, the more convicted that you become. So if you want to build the belief that you're a good presenter, for example, maybe you start small. Maybe you start by doing a one-on-one, right? Maybe you start by doing that, a small presentation. And then guess what? You do that presentation and it goes good. You actually get something started. You know what? Actually, let me tell you guys my real life experience. The first presentation that I ever did, I had been in the business for about 2 weeks and I hadn't studied the presentation at all. I was in for 2 weeks and I had somebody who was my mentor doing all the presentations for me. And what ended up happening was, this. Here's what happened. What happened was, sorry, I had to turn my phone off. What happened was, so I had a home event. This home event had about 12 people at this event. And I had my mentor coming in to do the presentation because like I told you, you guys might think that you're naturally introverted, whatever, double that, and that was me. There's 128 people on this call. I'm 99% certain that I come from a more naturally introverted space and place than every single person on this call. I'm almost positive. And so anyways, I go to do this event. I just invited for the event. That's it. But my mentor calls me and he says, Cruiser, there's really bad traffic. There was a really bad accident. Based off where I am right now, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to make it to that event. You're going to have to do it yourself. I'd been in the business for 2 weeks. I had not practiced the presentation once. I couldn't speak in front of one person, let alone a group of people. I was literally shitting myself. I was so scared. If you would have felt my heartbeat, you would have thought that I was like going to die. Like that's what it really felt like, right? Like anxiety set in, all these different things. But guess what? I didn't even have a choice. I was forced to just dive in. There's 2 ways for you to handle your fears, guys. You can ease in or you can dive in. I'm going to say that again. There's 2 ways that you can handle your fears. You can ease in or you can dive in. There's 2 ways for me to jump into a lake. I can jump straight into the lake, which is ideal. Just get it over with. That's ideal, right? But, for me, what I like to do when I'm going into a lake is if I can't dive in, then I'm going to just slowly kind of like toe dip and like just, go in slowly. And as I, go in slowly, I realize it's not that bad. And then I eventually get the rest of my body. So it doesn't matter how you're facing your fears. There's 2 different ways to do it. Ideally, you just dive in, you just get it over with. You just get pushed into the pool, right? But if that doesn't work for you, then try the other way. Try just slowly, slowly walking into the lake, right? Slowly just facing your fears slowly. When I told you guys I was so naturally introverted, like one of my mentors gave me the advice because I was scared to prospect. And he was like, okay, don't even worry about prospecting. Here's what you're going to do. All you're going to do for the next week is you're going to just literally everywhere you go, you're going to open doors for people, smile at people. I couldn't even look people in the eyes, guys. Like, this is not a joke. Like, you could ask Leanne. I couldn't even look people in. So that was my first step, right? That was my first step. So sometimes we get overwhelmed because we want to think big, but if you're in a certain place or space that you can't do that, then maybe you just want to start small, and that's okay too. There's this seemingly contradicting advice out there. And sometimes you'll have seemingly contradicting advice specifically because it depends on, you guys have to have something called discernment. I was going to talk about this later, but discernment is the ability to judge well. I can't give somebody one advice to one person in a certain situation who have certain goals. It's going to be terrible advice to another person. If I'm telling somebody to be patient and they haven't been doing anything, that's terrible advice, right? But if I'm telling someone to work hard if someone's working as hard as they possibly can, and I tell them that in order for them to be successful, they need to work harder, that'd be terrible advice for that person. But for the person who hasn't been working, that'd be great advice, right? So you got to be aware of that. Back to the story. So guys, what ended up happening was I got thrown into the fire, I got pushed into the pool, and I had to do the presentation. And guess what? It was absolutely terrible. It was bad. But guess what happened? One person got started. One person got started at that presentation. I went through the slides so quickly, it wasn't even funny. I had very low energy. It was probably the worst presentation that you could possibly think of. But guess what? One person got started. And you know what that did? That was my belief system went from here to here. That was a reference, right? That was one of those legs that support the table. And it was very emotional for me because I went from, I can't do this, to, wow, I just did a presentation and somebody actually signed up. Maybe I can do this. And then here's the key. That's why I put it in red. You must seek, find, and affirm evidence for your new belief. Now, if that sounds difficult to you, understand your paradigm is already doing that, but in a negative way. Your mindset is already looking for things wrong with you. Your paradigm is already looking for threats in the environment. Your paradigm is already looking for things to affirm the limiting beliefs that you have right now. So understand you're already in this, but when you start to do this and your conscious belief system slowly but surely over time, and the more emotional that these references are, slowly but surely over time, you begin to start believing bigger, faster. You start to literally act talk, and walk and think like that person. If this makes sense, drop a 222 in the chat real quick. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So these are 3 important questions. This is the call to action today. Who cares if we have this call if we don't actually take action, right? 3 important questions that I want you guys to ask yourself. You don't have to do it right this second. What subconscious limiting beliefs have been holding me back? You have to know the enemy to defeat the enemy, right? What subconscious limiting beliefs have been holding me back? You got to become aware of what you're unaware of. They say that it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame, but when you step out of the frame, right? When you step out of those limiting beliefs and you're looking at it versus actually being it, then it starts to dissolve and those beliefs start to literally fall off in a sense. So what subconscious limiting beliefs have been holding you back? Identify them. Maybe it's, oh, I'm lazy. Maybe it's, I just don't think I'm good at talking to people. Oh, I don't think I can present. I don't think I could do this. I believe I could do it. What subconscious limiting beliefs have been holding me back? That's the first important question. Now, number 2, what is the complete opposite of that? I used to have a limiting belief that I was bothering people. That every time I talk to someone, I don't want to bother that person. That's my limiting belief. Well, what's the complete opposite of that? Everywhere I go, I leave people around me with the impression of increase. Everywhere I go, I leave people better than where I found them, right? What is the complete opposite of that belief? And then guess what you do? You have to literally focus on it and start building. Like I said, let me go back. Well, I actually can't go back, but you got to seek and affirm those references to help you build that belief. Another question that you could ask yourself is, what do successful people believe? I'm going to give you guys a few principles that I believe that every single chairman in this organization believes so that you can use some of those for yourself. Now, look what I wrote at the bottom. I said, experience is not your best teacher. People say experience is your best teacher, and that's half true. But what if you have bad experiences? And what if you repeat them over and over and over again? Experience is not your best teacher. Evaluated experience is your best teacher. Taking that experience and looking at what went right and looking at what went wrong and looking at how you could do better next time, that is your best teacher. So let's talk about some core beliefs of the chairman mindset, some core beliefs of a 6-figure earner. Forget about this company, but in life in general. Number 1, they believe that if someone else has done it, that they can do it. I don't need to ask, can I go Chairman 100? I see John Guam, he went Chairman 100. If he could do it, I can do it too. If God does it for one person, then he can do it for me. Number 2, successful people believe that quitting is not an option. Will that negative thought, that negative voice come into your mind sometimes? Yes. But when somebody who is successful starts something, they finish it. If you started the academy, you might as well finish it, right? Now, successful people, they take 100% responsibility, not 99%, not anything less than 100% responsibility for their results, right? I see too many people blaming their upline, blaming their downline, blaming their sideline, blaming their circumstances, right? The moment that you take away responsibility from the one person that has the ability to change your life, that's yourself, right? The moment that you blame, let me put it this way, the moment that you blame people, places, situations, circumstances outside of your control, you take away the power from the one person that has the ability to change your life, which is yourself. Life is not happening to them. Life is happening for them. Every single time something quote unquote negative, nothing's really good or bad. It's our thinking that makes it so. But every single time something quote unquote bad would happen to me, I said, okay, I might not understand why this is happening right now, but I understand that God's plan is better then I can imagine, and this must be happening for a reason. And you can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can only connect them looking backwards. So I didn't know how I was going to hit Chairman 10 until I hit Chairman 10. Then I could look back and see why those different things had to happen in order for it to develop me to be the person that I had to be to hit Chairman 10. Neutral thinking. Successful people, Chairman, have neutral thinking. What does that mean? When you're driving, if you're driving a manual car, right? What happens is, like, let's just say you're in first gear and, your RPMs go too high. Guess what? You have to shift. You got to shift to neutral, right? And so what happens is most people in this business, most people in trading, most people in life, they let their highs get too high and their lows get too low. They let their highs get too high and they let their lows get too low, right? I talk about the emotional roller coaster. We're shrinking a 2 to 4 year plan, work for the next 2 to 4 years, and then become financially free and never have to work again, right? We're taking a 2 to 4 year plan. We're shrinking a 40-year plan, work for 40 years and then retire into 2 to 4 years. So there's going to be the same amount of ups and downs, but in a shorter compressed period of time. So you have to have neutral thinking. You have to have a positive mental attitude no matter what, which leads on to my next thing. You got to focus on what you can control. I was listening to a call that Mandy was doing, and she said that you can only control 2 things. Drop them in the chat if you know what those 2 things are. You can only control 2 things. What are those 2 things? Everybody but Mandy can answer this question. Attitude and effort. You can only control your attitude and your effort, your attitude and your work ethic. I see so many people focus on what they can't control, focused on, oh, what does this person think about me? Oh, why is this happening? Oh, this person's quitting. Oh, this person's that. Focus on everything outside of your control. If you can't control it, why would you worry about something that was outside of your control? You can only control 2 things, your attitude and your work ethic. So those are the only 2 things you should be focused on. Chairmen believe that success is simple. Naturally, human beings overcomplicate things. Sometimes people really they're looking for the secret. They're looking for some, they're looking for the secret to get them from where they are to where they want to go. When you understand that success is simple, when I went from 0 to P1000, so P150, P600, P1000, you know what I did? I leveraged the PS3 system. I was peaking interest, showing the plan 3-way. After that, then I got the book GoPro, Building an Empire, and I understood the mindset and skill set that I need to go from part-time to full-time. But up until that point, to hit those first few ranks, you don't need anything else other than PS3. All you need to know is PS3 yourself, be able to teach PS3 to other people, and that's it. And then go through the numbers. But what happens is complicated people they have a complicated mind. So they literally overcomplicate their problems, right? Success is simple. Keep it super simple. Patient with the process, aggressive with the execution. Successful people understand that they're going to be patient with the process. Sometimes it takes time to be successful. They're patient in waiting for their success to happen, but they're aggressive with the execution. They're taking action towards their goals every single day, which goes on to the next thing, firing and then aiming. Most people aim, and they never actually fire, right? They're planning, but they never actually take action. Successful people, you know what they do? They fire and then they aim. They take action and then they readjust. They do the presentation and then they look back and say, how could I do better on that presentation? But most people do the opposite. They're just aiming, and then they never actually fire. And last but not least is they have discernment. They have a good ability to judge. They have the ability to understand that different people come from different situations, have different circumstances, and have different goals. So sometimes there's not going to be a cookie cutter advice to the next level. Or what could be good advice to one person might be terrible advice for me. And they have the discernment to understand what is what and which is which. Now, I got 2 slides left and then we're done. What did I say earlier? You must seek, find, and affirm evidence for your new belief. What is it that I told you guys to do, number one, write down those subconscious limiting beliefs that you have, number one. Then number two, I said you must seek, find, and affirm evidence for your new belief. But here's where you do it. You do it in your past, in your present, and in your future. Let me explain. Most people can't allow themselves to be in the present moment. For a lot of this presentation, most of this presentation, I wasn't even really thinking. I was just doing it on autopilot. I was just in the present moment. When you're in the present moment, everything just kind of disappears. I used to play soccer. I played soccer my entire life. When I'm on the field, I'm not even really like thinking. I'm just playing. I'm just doing. I'm just being, right? In the present moment. But people spend about 70% of their time in survival. What's survival? Survival is they're anticipating something negative to happen in the future based off of something bad that happened in the past. So what do you have to do? Number one, you have to make peace with your past. So, example, if I have a subconscious belief that I'm bad at building relationships, I need to go to my past. I need to think about my past and ask myself, where did I do really well with building relationships? And then literally just write it down and take notes and reevaluate and really just think about it. I would encourage all y'all to have a journal so you can journal your thoughts and write everything down, right? And I'm thinking and I'm literally looking at all the past different times that I was actually good at building relationships, right? And then I make peace with my past, which allows me to be more in the present moment. And then from there, when I'm more present, then I'm not so anxious, right? I'm actually able to, think clearly and think more positively about the future, right? So you got to seek, find, and affirm evidence for your new belief in your past, in your present, and also in your future. In your future, what does that mean? What that means is you want to see yourself, you want to visualize the end result already done. I said 3 words earlier. I said act as if, right? So how is that best version of you? How are they acting? How are they talking? How are they walking? Who are they being? You have to visualize that every single day until you become that. But it's not just about your present, and it's not just about your past. It's not just about your future. It's about your and your future. You must seek, find, and affirm evidence for your new belief, whatever that belief is in your past, in your present, and in the future. And if you can do that, then your paradigm will shift like that. Alignment. Wow, it's 4 o'clock. I gotta go. I have a meeting, so I have to go. But alignment, when your thoughts, feelings, and actions are moving in synchronicity to help you achieve your goal. So there's a power flowing to and through you. What does that mean? You have thoughts. You have 60,000 thoughts every single day. You have a lot of thoughts, right? Those thoughts, the ones that you get emotionally involved in, turn into feelings, right? Most people have the thoughts, I want to do a presentation, but they feel like they can't. They're not in alignment. But if you do the things that I told you, what's going to happen is you're going to create alignment. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions are going to move in synchronicity to help you achieve your goal. So you have your thoughts, you get emotionally involved with those ideas, and then it becomes your feelings, right? Number 1, thoughts. Number 2, feelings. Those feelings, what happened is literally shift your body into action, and those actions produce your results. And so that is the goal. The ultimate goal is you moving in alignment towards your guys' goal. And with that being said, the very last slide and the last thing I'll say is one of my favorite quotes. It's one of my favorite quotes. I love it so much that I literally have it framed next to all my goals. Check this out. The moment that your belief matches with any state you fuse with it, this union results in the activation and projection of its plots, plans, conditions, and circumstances. That's when things start to happen in your life. That's when you start to attract the right people, the places, the things that you need in order to be successful. Now, let me say this again. The moment that your belief matches, it should be more specific. It should say not just your conscious belief, but subconscious belief, your paradigm, with any state you fuse with it. Chairman 10, 6-figure trader, whatever that is. This union results in the activation and projection of its plots, plans, conditions, and circumstances. That's when things start to happen in your life. But with that being said, guys, if you had some breakthroughs on this call, drop a 777 in the chat. You now know what a paradigm is, how it's formed, how you can shift it to get the results that you want. So just go back and really just, I'll drop the recording for this, guys, but just go back and do the call to action. Like I said, identify those subconscious limiting beliefs, ask yourself, what are the complete opposite? And then start to, seek and affirm those different references, right? So you can start to build that table, start to build that belief system like we talked about. I got to show y'all one last thing. Let me see. All right, guys. One last thing. Appreciate y'all for hanging on a couple extra minutes. With that being said, I literally can't find it. I'm trying to find the schedule for the week for the calls. If anyone has it, that'd be super helpful. This is really important. That's the only, okay, here it is. Finally, 7-day chairman bootcamp. Guys, this is happening over the next week, October 18th through the 25th. We have Chairman 250, Darwin Lopez, Chairman 100, John Guaman, Chairman 100, Manny Q, Chairman 750, Matt Rosa, Chairman 750, Jason Brown, Chairman 250, Mr. Banks, Chairman 100, Teacup Lou, all doing the 7-day chairman bootcamp. This is happening at, I believe, 6 p.m. Eastern time, if I'm not mistaken, over the next week. So we are not doing any of the Life by Design evening trainings. Instead, we're plugging into these to the chairman 7-day chairman bootcamp. So guys, make sure that your team is plugged into that. Thank you guys. Love you guys. If y'all need anything, hit me up on Instagram. Anything that I can do, I'm here to help. We're all one team, one family in Life by Design. So love you guys. Talk to you guys soon. Appreciate y'all.